أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين واللعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم والفجر والليال عشر صلوات upon Ekbar. We're just going through the winter season here in Canada. We have a respected traveler who was just making a comment that I didn't know in Canada you can have minus 25 and then just after a few days you have plus 10 or 15. So this is how things are as far as the weather condition is concerned. And actually my theme for tonight is about the issue of weather. I recited this ayat from Surah Fajr, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالْفَجْرِ وَاللَّيَالِ عَشْرٍ, where He is basically saying by the dawn and the 10 nights. Actually, this is just for barakat of that ayat. What I would like to do is actually go to a hadith from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, quoted by Sheikh Saduq through his sanad, where he talks about the winter season. In Arabic, the winter is known as ash-shita. And the Imam says that ash-shita Rabi al-Mu'min. Now, before I go into translation and explain the details that the Imam has given, what does the word Rabi' mean? If you look at the Arabic literal meaning of the word, it basically refers to one of the four seasons. The Mawsam, the season of Bahar, spring season. Basically, it is known as spring season or Bahar or Rabi' because it is basically the season of rebirth, renewal and regrowth for human beings as well as the animals as well as the environment. When spring comes, that is where you see the blossoms of the plants. Animals also become more active after going through kind of a hibernation totally or partially during winter. Even the earth in a way moves during this spring season. The plantation and grass starts coming up, and all these are basically indication of what is known as spring. Now, in the Arabian society before Islam, they had the calendar for their annual activities, but it was a solar-based calendar, as opposed to what we have in our religious calendar is lunar-based, based on the sighting of the lunar, the crescent. And so when you look at the solar system, all those calendars which go with the solar system, their months and the seasons always are same. So for example, if you look at the Iranian Persian calendar, Persians also had this calendar which was based on solar system. And it begins with the spring season. So 21st of March of every year will be the new year of the Persian calendar. This was there from before Islam. However, after they became Muslims, the numbering of the years changed. It became from Hijrah. So the solar system, after Hijrah. So there's slightly difference because the solar system is like the common calendar. December always would come in winter. Unlike Ramadan. Sometimes it will come in winter, sometimes it will come in summer. So this is where the difference between lunar system and the solar system has been. Now the Arabs before Islam, their calendar had the same names. Muharram, Safar, Rabi al-Awwal, all these were same. However, for them, because it was on the solar system, the months and the seasons were always fixed. So Rabi' means spring. Rabiul Awwal means the first month of the spring. So during the pre-Islamic time, the Arab calendar, always Rabiul Awwal would be in the end of March, beginning of the spring seasons, because the word Rabi' means spring. Rabiul Awwal means the first month of the spring season. Rabi al-Thani would be the second one. But then Islam came, and Islam, because of the wisdom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had, He decided that yes, you can use the solar system and the calendar for your worldly activities. That wouldn't change. But when it comes to religious observation, you go with the lunar system. And there is a discussion by itself, but I'll just summarize here before I continue. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do this? Basically, that is also based on Allah's justice and fairness. If, for example, the rituals were fixed according to the solar system, so wherever Ramadan happens in summer will always happen in summer. And in whatever part of the world, where Ramadan happens in winter, it will always be in winter. Zil Hijjah will always come in the same season. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to give this diversity to the Muslim world. All different areas of the world would have Ramadan which is short and Ramadan which is long. Unfortunately, our people these days in England complain, oh, it's very long fast. Baba, what happened about 10 years ago? You didn't complain when it came in winter. This is where we have to realize this is the part of the process that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants all different parts of the world to go through different seasons of Ramadan and even Hajj. For example, if somebody is a farmer, there are certain seasons that they really need to work. And if they are not able to work in that season, they will not be able to survive, for the rest of the year. And Zil Hijjah comes at that time. Well, they can delay it. They can delay it until it comes at a season where it is easy for them to go for Hajj. Especially those days, Hajj was not 10 or 12 days trip. It was 3 months, for example, even if you're not even talking about going from Canada, otherwise that would be 6 months. If you go by ship and land all the way to Mecca. But even if you went from India and Pakistan, it would be at least 3 months journey. Traveling time and the Hajj itself. And so you have to keep in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a reason behind why this happened. And people do not realize that even in this choosing the lunar calendar, people have complaints. Especially when it comes to the moon sighting of Eid. Well, that's the whole fun. If you didn't have it, it was fixed, the anticipation would be gone. But anyway, that's one hikmah why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it came to religious observation, He chose that our calendar be based on the lunar system and not the solar system. But for all other activities, you can still do this. And lunar's calendar is always 10 days shorter than the solar system, as far as the year is concerned. So for example, in calculation of your khums, you can always go with the solar system. There's no problem there. At least, every 3 years you save 1 month there. Because 10 days, 10 days, 10 days. So on all other issues, you can have this solar system for your calculations. But when it comes to especially ibadat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to go by the qamari and the lunar system. Salawat pranay paro. So the word Rabi' basically means the spring in a literal sense. But now we go on to the metaphorical or symbolic meaning of the word Rabi'. Rabi, now moving away from the seasons, it is also used to indicate better days and better times for something. For example, and this is used even in English. Just a few years ago, we had this term, the Arab Spring. What was that? That was a political term. What does that mean? There were dictators in Egypt, Tunis, and Libya. The people basically did the uprising and threw them out of office. That is known as the Arab Spring, where now tyranny is gone and people's power is coming in. The only problem, of course, was that when spring, Arab Spring went all the way towards Yemen, towards Bahrain, all the Arab and the Western powers turned that spring into autumn season. Why? Because it was a Shia majority, same situation. You have a Sunni monarchy there and population is majority Shia. They also stood up for their rights, and there they were totally crushed. And even some of these intellectual and open-minded ulama also in the Arab world who praised the people for what happened in Tunis and Egypt and Libya. When it came to Bahrain, they say, oh, this is sectarianism. So wherever Shias are kind of docile, don't stand up for rights, they are good people. The day they stand up and say, we want our rightful share in the political system, they become fanatics and fundamentalists and this and that. Salawat pढ़ने के Quran. So the word spring is now used not for the season, but for better times, whether it's politically or otherwise. Even in our hadith literature from the Aimma of Ahlul Bayt, the word Rabi' is used sometimes to indicate good things in a symbolic meaning, not the spring season as opposed to winter, for example. In a hadith, for example, we are told studying the Quran is Rabi'ul Qulub. Reading the Quran, studying the Quran is the spring season for the hearts. In another statement, Amir al-Mu'minin describes he describes the state of a human heart on a spiritual level, not this physical heart that we are talking about. Where he says, the hearts go through up and down. When they are on a higher level, then maximize, do extras. When your heart is at a lower level, lower morale, then make sure you fulfill the duties which are wajib. Don't try to force on it, but when you are feeling good, in good mood, then try to maximize that feeling. So when it comes to the heart, the Aimma have said that reading the Quran is Rabi'ul Qulub, as if the hearts become revived, renewed by reading the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, in Surah Ra'd, He says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَعِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Verily by remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one example of zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is recitation of the Quran. And so, تَطْمَعِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. The hearts attain itmi'inan, tranquility and peace by the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in form of reading the Quran. Another term which has been used in the hadith of the Aimma to describe Rabi', spring in not a season but as a positive symbolic meaning, Rabi'ul Fuqara, the spring season for the poor and the needy. And what is that? That is the month of Ramadan. There is iftar going on a public level in many masajid and centers. So they don't have to go for extra, search of a place where they can find food. It is easily in the month of Ramadan. The issue of fidya, the issue of kafara. So that month of Ramadan, that aspect of charity that we see becomes Rabi al-Fuqara. This is the time of, and the issue of fitra also, this becomes the spring season for the Fuqara. Then the Quran itself, Imam, talks about it, Rabi al-Quran. When is this spring season for the Quran itself? Again, it's the month of Ramadan. Because we see the tradition which comes from the religious instructions of the Ma'sumin to recite the Quran during the month of Ramadan. This whole concept that we have, the Quran is divided into 30 juz, or in Urdu we say it 30 para. What is it? It is not really division of the Quran into, one surah is ending, another surah is starting. No, there are 114 surahs in the Quran, not 30. And the division actually is such that sometimes, one ayat of the same surah is ending, and the surah still continues, but now we say this is second para or second juz. It is actually physical division of the Quran into 30 parts. And why was this done? And this is actually a bid'ah. But it is bid'ah hasana, it's a good bid'ah. It was done to facilitate for Muslims to plan the recitation of Quran in the month of Ramadan. So you have one part, you read one night, second part, you read second night, until you finish the Quran by the end of the month of Ramadan. So this whole concept of juz that we see is physical division of the Quran into 30 parts. And this itself shows that this is a universal tradition among Muslims to read the Quran during the month of Ramadan, and therefore the month of Ramadan is known as Rabiul Quran. Probably Quran, because of that tradition among Muslims, is the most read book in the world. Maybe the printed copies of Bible might be more than printed copies of the Quran or some other books. But when it comes to reading it cover to cover, I don't think there is any book in the world which can surpass the recitation of the Quran. And this is the beauty of it. Even though majority of Muslims don't even understand Arabic. Millions and millions of Muslims learn how to read the Quran, to read Arabic because they want to read the Quran, even though they do not understand it. And this is itself is a mu'jiza that, how come millions of people around the world read that book and they don't even understand it? Although there is a problem there. Because reading is just a step towards understanding. Now, if you don't know the language, at least you should read the translation or the tafsir to understand the knowledge and the wisdom which is there in the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And probably that is the reason why the word, the name of the holy book that we have is Al-Quran. Al-Quran means the recital, the book which is recited. And so this tradition is there, and the hadith of our Ma'sumin say that the month of Ramadan is Rabi'ul Quran because it is the month where Quran is read more than other months. Salawat. Now I come to the actual hadith. This was just the meaning of the word, Rabi'. The Imam says, Ash-shita Rabi'ul Mu'min. This is the sixth Imam's hadith where he says, Ash-shita. So since we are in winter, maybe I should have recited this earlier, but I think I wasn't here in early winter. Ash-shita Rabi'ul Mu'min. Imam says, for a mu'min, which is the spring season, not in the literal sense, in the symbolic sense, in a metaphorical sense, Imam says, for a mu'min, the spring season is the winter. Why? Because spring season is supposed to be the season of renewal, rebirth, and becoming better. even for human beings. And this is where Imam then explains. He says why the winter season is the spring season for a mu'min. He says, يَطُولُ فِيهِ لَيْلُهُ وَيَقْصُرُ فِيهِ نَهَارُهُ. He says because during this winter season, the nights of this winter are long and the days are short. But how does that help a mu'min? This is where the Imam says, فَيَسْتَعِينُ بِهِ عَلَى قِيَامِهِ. When he has longer nights, he can do his nawafil and salat more because of the long nights. Between midnight and Fajr, there is a longer, time. وَيَسْتَعِينُ بِهِ عَلَى صِيَامِهِ. And because the days are shorter, the winter season helps a mu'min in doing their fasting. Because the duration of the daytime is short. And this is where we have to realize that Imam is saying that, don't look at shita, winter season, from the seasonal point of view. Rather, look at the spiritual dimension of it. It is an opportunity given to you where you can do the fasting of shorter days and do your prayers more during the long nights of the winter season. Salawat. This would be probably, the opportunity even to revive ourselves on a spiritual level, and even maximizing that time to make up the prayers and the fast which have been missed out. There is no condition in fiqh which says that, if you miss the roza of Ramadan in the summertime, you must do the qaza in the summertime. No. You can still use the shorter days of the winter season and do the qaza. And so this is where we have to think about it. Sometimes I get this question these days because Ramadan comes in summer, and as I said, in England this has become an unnecessary controversy of long roza. They say, oh, this doesn't make sense and this and that. If somebody, especially if let's say it's a 9-year-old girl becoming baligha for the first time, and the Ramadan happens to be in summer with long days, sometimes some of the girls cannot physically handle that. They really become sick. They started vomiting in the first, second, third days. And when I get those questions, I said, well, Islam doesn't put a burden on a person more than their ability. They would be exempted for not fasting those days, and there is no kafara for them, but they have to do qaza. And you as a parent should help them doing the qaza during the winter time when the days are shorter. And so we have this beauty and flexibility there, to do not only for those who are going through difficulties, but those who have not been able to, for one reason or another, missed out the prayers and fasting. This season of winter becomes the Rabi'ul Mu'min, the spring season for a mu'min as far as their spiritual, upliftment and fulfillments of their duties is concerned. Salawat. Coming to this ayat that I recited at the end of the khutbah from surah number 89, surah Fajr, wal Fajr wal layalin ashar. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, by the dawn and the 10 nights. Now normally this is applied for the month of Zulhijjah. You have the 10 nights, and then the 10th day, which is the day of Zulhijjah, the day of Hajj in Mina, and for the rest of the Muslims it is also the day of Eid. But on a symbolic, and that is the day, especially is the day of worship and the day of sacrifice. And Muslims do that all the time. On a batini tafsir, on a symbolic tafsir of this ayat, because we are told by none other than Amir al-Mu'minin Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, That the ayat of Quran have apparent meaning, and even the apparent meanings have 10 layers. And then there is an inner meaning, and even those inner meanings have 10 levels there. And this is where one of the batini tafsir would be that these words can be applied to Karbala. So you have the 10 nights ending with Shab Ashur, Layalin Ashr. And then you have the day of Ashura, wal Fajr, the Fajr of the day of Ashura. Interestingly, when you relate that to Zul Hijjah, where the Shab-e Eid or Shab-e 10th Zul Hijjah and the 10th of Zul Hijjah itself is a day of prayers and sacrifice. The day of Ashura also was the day of sacrifice, and the last night before that, Shab-e Ashur, was the night of Ibadat. It's the way where Imam Hussain alayhi salam, when he was told that the Yazidi army after coming of Shimr Mal'un, جب وہ آیا ہے کوفہ سے اور عمر ابن سعد کے لیے وہ میسج لے کے آیا تھا کہ ابن زیاد is questioning why you are delaying this process, what's going on. And he has sent me an informal who will be with me to see what you are doing. اگر تمہیں یہ کام کرنا ہے جو کام دیا گیا ہے تو ٹھیک ہے، اگر نہیں کرنا ہے تو تم جو ہے اپنے اس کمانڈ اور پوزیشن کو ہمارے حوالے کر دو. جس پر عمر بن سعد نے یہی کہا شمر سے کہ یقیناً تمہیں نے اس کے دماغ کو اور خراب کیا ہوگا، اس لیے کہ ہماری کوشش تھی کہ معاملات جو ہیں صلح پہ ختم ہوں. لہٰذا اس نے گالی والی بھی دی، اس کو لعنت کی اس پہ، لیکن اس نے بہرحال ہوائے دنیا اور منصب کے لیے عمر بن سعد نے کہا کہ ٹھیک ہے، اگر یہی بات ہے تو آئی ول ڈو what I'm supposed to do. اور جنگ کی تیاری شروع ہوئی. جب اندازہ ہوا تو امام حسین علیہ السلام نے جناب عباس اور دوسروں کو بھیجا کہ جا کے پوچھو یہ کیا کرنا چاہتے ہیں. آلریڈی شام کا وقت ہو رہا تھا. تو امام نے اس وقت جو آپ سنتے ہیں، امام نے کہا کہ ہمیں 1 رات کی مہلت چاہیے، اس لیے کہ ہم اپنے رب سے راز و نیاز کرنا بہت پسند کرتے ہیں. آپ سوچیں، اور کچھ نہیں اس کی وجہ بیان کرتے ہیں. یہ نہیں ہے کہ ہمیں ایک دن اور جو ہے کچھ اور گھنٹہ زندہ رہنا ہے، بلکہ ہم جو ہیں خداوند عالم سے دعا کرنا، راز و نیاز کرنا پسند کرتے ہیں، اور ہم چاہتے ہیں کہ 1 رات اور ملے اس کے لیے. لہٰذا ہم یہاں سے جانے والے نہیں ہیں. تمہیں جنگ کرنا ہے تو دن میں آنا، صبح دیکھ لیں گے. اور یزیدی لشکر نے بہرحال امام حسین علیہ السلام کے اس پروپوزل کو قبول کیا ہے. البتہ یہاں بھی سمبولزم ہے کہ امام جو ہے انتظار میں تھے کہ ہم نے اتنی محنت کی ہے، حر جیسے شخص کو اپنی طرف لانے کے لیے کچھ اور موقع دے دیں، شاید جو ہے وہ اس طرف آئے. اس لیے کہ امام نور کا یہ کام ہوتا ہے کہ جہاں جہاں پوٹینشل اور ظرفیت دیکھے وہ کوشش کرتا ہے کہ اس بندے کو صراط مستقیم پر لے آئے. اور اس لیے اس عنوان سے اس رات کو بھی کہا جاتا ہے کہ حسین نے یہ مہلت مانگی تھی حر کے لیے. اور اس طرح دوسرے بھی تھے کہ اگر انہیں ہدایت ہو سکے تو وہ انہیں موقع ملے. اور جہاں تک دوسرے دن کی بات ہے، والفجر، یہ وہ فجر ہے عاشور کی کہ جو واقعاً قربانی کی شب ہے. یہ قربانی کی شب بھی ہے، قربانی کا دن بھی ہے، کہ جہاں آپ دیکھیں کہ امام حسین علیہ السلام نے ظہر کے لیے جو نماز کا اہتمام کیا، امام کے لیے اس وقت وہاں لازم نہیں تھا کہ نماز جماعت برقرار کرے، لیکن پھر بھی عاشور میں آپ واقعات کو سنتے ہیں، مصائب کو سنتے ہیں اس سلسلے میں کہ امام حسین علیہ السلام نے جب دیکھا کہ ہماری تعداد بہت کم ہو چکی ہے اور یزیدی لشکر جو ہے نماز کے لیے جنگ کو روکنے کے لیے تیار نہیں ہیں، پھر بھی امام نے کہا اپنے اصحاب سے کہ ہم نماز جماعت قائم کریں گے. اور سعید اور زہیر سے کہتے ہیں کہ تم ہماری نماز جماعت کی حفاظت کرو. یہ چھوٹا سا ایک گروہ تھا جو باقی تھے اصحاب اور امام کے گھر والے، یہ لوگ اپنے صف میں تیار ہو جاتے ہیں۔ امام حسین علیہ السلام نے نماز میں امامت کی ہے۔ سعید کی ذمہ داری یہی تھی کہ امام کی حفاظت کرے، اس لیے کہ اس وقت جو ہے یزیدی لشکر کی اتنی ہمت تو نہیں آئی ہوئی کہ جو نماز پڑھ رہا ہے اس کے قریب آ کے اس پہ حملہ کرے، لیکن ان میں جو دور تھے، جو تیر اور کمان ان کے ہاتھ میں تھے، انہوں نے یہ کوشش کی کہ اس موقع سے فائدہ اٹھایا جائے اور اذیت پہنچائی جائے۔ لیکن حضرت اعلیٰ حسین اس وقت یزیدی لشکر کے جتنے تیر انداز تھے، ان کا نشانہ حسین کے اصحاب نہیں تھے، بنو ہاشم کے افراد نہیں تھے، سب کا نشانہ ایک تھا اور وہ حسین رسول کا نواسہ تھا۔ اور سعید امام کے سامنے کھڑے ہو جاتے ہیں، ظاہری طور پہ بہرحال اپنی ذمہ داری نبھانی تھی، سپر کو لیے ہوئے تھے، تیر آتے گئے، اپنے سپر پر وہ سنبھالتے رہے، لیکن جب تیروں کی بارش بڑھ جاتی ہے، جس سے سعید کو اندازہ ہوا کہ ہمارے سپر سے جو ہے ہر تیر کو ہم روک نہیں سکتے ہیں، تو اب انہوں نے اپنے جسم کو بھی شیل بنا لیا، اور یہاں تک کہ بار بار دیکھتے تھے امام کی طرف کہ امام کی نماز ختم ہوئی یا نہیں۔ جب دیکھا کہ امام جو ہیں اپنے آخری سلام کی طرف آئے ہیں، اس وقت تک ہمت کی تھی سعید نے کہ اپنے کو اپنے قدموں پر ثابت قدم رکھیں، لیکن پھر زمین کربلا پر اتنے زخمی ہو چکے تھے کہ گر جاتے ہیں۔ امام حسین علیہ السلام آتے ہیں سعید کے پاس، اس وقت سعید کے زبان پر صرف ایک جملہ تھا، اوفیت یا ابن رسول اللہ، کیا میں نے حق وفا ادا کیا ہے نہیں ہے؟ خداوندہ رسول کی بارگاہ میں اس پیغام کو پہنچا دینا کہ میں نے جتنی اذیتیں برداشت کی ہے صرف ان کے نواسے کی حفاظت کے لیے۔ بس سعید سے اتنا کہیں گے کہ ظہر کے نماز کے وقت تم موجود تھے، لیکن ہائے حسین کا جب آخری سجدہ ہوا ہے وہاں کوئی انصار اور اعزاء اور اقربا میں کوئی نہیں تھا، بلکہ حسین یک و تنہا کربلا میں تھے۔ الا لعنت اللہ علی القوم الظالمین، سیعلم الذین ظلموا ای منقلب ینقلبون۔ خداوند اس خلیل عبادت قبول فرما، ہمارے گناہ کو بخش دے، ہمارے توفیقات میں اضافہ فرما۔ خداوندہ شیعہ علی اور جس مسلمان جہاں جہاں ہیں ان کو اپنے حفظ امان میں رکھ، تکفیری افواج کی تمام صلاحیت کو نیست و نابود فرما، امام کے ظہور میں تعجیل فرما۔ ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم۔